everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, tax cuts for the rich have been a key part of the Republican agenda since the Ronald Reagan administration. It is just simply a matter of faith for conservatives that tax cuts for the rich will pay for themselves, spur economic growth, and create prosperity for everyone. And a lot of people believe them. Over the years, it has been conclusively proven that those things just don't happen. Let's take a look at what happened with the Reagan tax cuts. The economy struggled. The deficit skyrocketed. It got so bad that Reagan, who has become known as the Great Tax Cutter, actually had to raise taxes 6 times during his presidency in order to make up for the tax cuts that he gave to the rich. Now you would think that he would have realized, hey, I made a mistake, and just simply raised taxes on the rich a little bit. Maybe not as much as they were, but a little bit more. But no, his 6 tax increases were all directed at everybody else but the rich. The economy got so bad that the Reagan administration became known as the era of lowered expectations. George W. Bush gave the rich another massive tax cut, combined with a small tax cut for the middle class. In a clever gimmick, Bush had the IRS send out checks to middle-class families for the amount of his tax cut. This did provide a brief economic stimulus, but the checks were too small to have a huge economic input. I remember I got $300. Married couples with children got $600. Now $600 is not going to make a big difference to like a married couple with a couple of kids. So after a brief bump, the economy went back into what it always was and eventually slid into a recession, but that was caused by deregulation, which is another article of conservative faith. And by the way, deregulation always ends in disaster. They're doing it now, that's what's going to happen. So what's happened to the economy since the Trump tax cuts? Well, when they were passed, the economy was growing at a rate of 2.9%. Since then, it has slowed to 2%. When the tax cuts were passed, Republicans predicted a growth rate as high as 7%, and that's just not going to happen. In fact, we're probably headed for another recession. And yet, despite 50 years of failure, it's surprising how many people believe that tax cuts for the rich are a good thing. The truth is, for years we have all been paying a price for the rich people's failure to pay their fair share in ways that are both obvious and subtle. Here's how some of that works. The federal government collects taxes which pay for its operations, but it also returns money to the states in the form of grants and funding for various projects. Well, over the years, tax breaks for the extremely wealthy mean that the feds are sending less and less money to the states, which means the states are giving less and less money to the cities and towns and communities that are in them. So, for example, when I first arrived in California, if you had a good enough grade point average, you could attend any state college or university tuition free. But then Californians passed Proposition 13, which froze property tax rates in place. So now we have people who own homes worth millions of dollars, but the taxes that they're paying on them is like as if they were worth a few $100,000. And especially this is true as far as businesses are concerned. There are businesses that have owned the same property for years and it's increased in value, and they're hardly paying any taxes on it. So the state has less money. It's also getting less money from the federal government. So now you can't attend state college or state university without paying tuition, and the tuition has been increasing over the years. So there's a whole lot less people that can afford to pay for college here in California. Not only that, but that problem of student debt that has become like a national crisis, well, that's a direct result of the rich's failure to pay their fair share of taxes. But it's not just college. Public schools all over the country are struggling with underfunding. We have teachers paying for supplies out of their own pocket, and schools in some places that don't have heat or air conditioning. And it's not just schools. It's roads, bridges, water mains, the electrical grid, and other infrastructure that are deteriorating right underneath us. Failure to maintain roads means you spend more on auto repair and maintenance. Cities, towns, and states are now charging you much higher fees if you need something from them. For services they used to deliver pretty cheaply, but now they have to charge more for them because the rich aren't paying their fair share, so now you're going to have to pay what the rich won't. There was a time when a policeman would pull you over and give you a warning for a minor infraction. Those days are over. Many communities now depend on traffic tickets just to survive. And so the cops not only are not letting you off with a warning, they're going around looking for excuses to give you a ticket. And the fees associated with those tickets are also being raised all the time. So our government's failure to tax the rich in a way that is equitable, that makes them pay their fair share, affects every single one of us negatively. And more is coming. Because of the Trump tax cuts, our national debt is increasing by over $1 trillion every year, and that's just not sustainable. We are heading for the kind of collapse that caused the fall and breakup of the Soviet Union, which means we might all have to live through some pretty chaotic times. And so I ask you, do you really want to suffer through that just to keep some billionaires happy? Thanks for listening. Hey, thanks for watching my videos. And I want you to keep on doing that. Just not on YouTube. If you look down in the description box, you're going to see 2 new links there. One is to my Patreon page, the other one is to a site called Top Buzz. Now on Top Buzz, they're letting me monetize my video, and they're not even ads on them. So I'd like you to get in the habit of watching my videos there. Or you can go to my Patreon page, and if you want to become a supporter, that would be great. If you don't, you can still watch my videos there. But for me, YouTube is no longer worth bothering with. It's just a launching pad that I use to put my videos other places on the net. So I do want you to keep on watching my videos, but not on YouTube.